334 BC. Alexander the Great was now the undisputed leader of Greece. But that was not enough. His eyes were set on the east. The target before him was the greatest power in the world, the Persian Empire. This empire had stood for centuries. Its lands were vast, stretching from modern-day Turkey to Mesopotamia, to Egypt, and all the way to India. And its king was Darius III. His army outnumbered Alexander's. His resources were limitless, but to Alexander, this was not fear. It was an opportunity. Alexander gathered his army, around 40,000 soldiers, each one trained, each one disciplined. And then he reached the shores of the Hellespont with his army. This strait separated Greece from Asia. It was not just a body of water. It was the boundary between two worlds. Alexander stepped onto a ship. The sea was calm, but the soldiers knew after this crossing there would be no turning back. As the ships approached the shores of Asia, Alexander was the first to step onto land. And at that moment, he did something. He drew his sword and drove it into the ground. This act was a symbol. It meant, I will conquer these lands with my sword. After crossing into Asia, Alexander did not go straight to the battlefield. He stopped somewhere first, a historic place, its name Troy. This was not an ordinary visit. It was a tribute, because here lay the tomb of the hero he had admired since childhood, Achilles. Alexander stood silently at the grave. Then he ran around it. This was an ancient tradition, a way of honoring heroes. And in that moment, only one thought filled his mind. I will be immortal like him. The Persians had learned of Alexander's arrival, and they prepared an army to stop him. This army was waiting by a river. Its name, the Granicus River. The battle that would take place here could determine Alexander's fate, because this was his first great test against the Persians. 334 BC. Two armies stood on opposite sides of the Granicus River. The Persian army waited on the far side. It was a smart tactic because crossing a river is the most dangerous moment in battle. Soldiers lose their balance, formations break, and if the enemy attacks, disaster is inevitable. Alexander's commanders were cautious. Some advised waiting. Let's wait until morning, they said. But Alexander did not want to wait, because he knew sometimes courage means speed, and he gave the order to attack. Macedonian soldiers entered the water. Their armor was heavy. The water rose quickly. Arrows began to rain down. Persian cavalry waited at the riverbank. At that moment, Alexander moved to the front. This was his habit. He never stayed behind. He always fought at the front. This gave courage to his soldiers, but at the same time, it brought him face to face with death. In the middle of the battle, Alexander pushed into enemy lines, and at that exact moment, a Persian commander spotted him. The man rushed forward. He raised his sword and struck with all his strength. Alexander's helmet shattered. The blade passed just inches from his head. If it had been a second later, everything could have ended right there. But in that moment, another Macedonian commander arrived. His name, Clytus the Black. With a single strike, he killed the Persian commander. Alexander's life was saved, but the battle was not over yet. The battle lasted for hours, but in the end, the Persian army collapsed. They began to flee. The Battle of the Granicus was won. This was not just a victory. This was a message, and that message was Alexander could be challenged, but he could not be stopped. After Granicus, the gates of Anatolia were opened. Many cities surrendered without resistance. Some even welcomed him as a liberator, because they were not satisfied with Persian rule. But the greatest battle had not yet come, because the Persian king was now preparing to act personally, his name Darius III, and the next encounter would become one of the most dramatic battles in history.